essentially what I'm trying to do here, I'm getting the spec PR ready, is that we are looking at identifying the user perceived navigations during a page load. And this includes things like the initial navigation, back forward cache restores, SPA navigations, with the idea that this might even expand in the future. And so we're looking at speccing an identifier for each of these navigations, and people will be able to use this in the performance timeline to segment the timeline by navigations and hopefully more directly compare the experience on these more complex page loads versus just traditional navigations. There's a couple of links here, and we can post these later, to the discussion around this and the current PR that I'm working on. There's basically two outstanding questions, though. One is, what shape should the navigation ID be? We've gone back and forth a number of times and realizing that maybe we haven't actually come to consensus here, and I'd like to get opinions from the group on this. And then secondly, whether any particular API support should be included for filtering by navigation ID, the same way that we have filtering by type, by name or by type right now. So for the shape, initially the proposal was just to have a counter, right? Navigation ID would be a counter starting at 1 or 0 and incrementing every time. We basically said this probably isn't good, because developers are going to start relying on the absolute indexes and start expecting certain things, and that'll potentially stop us from being able to expand the set of navigations. The next proposal was, okay, well, let's just make a UUID, right? Let's just generate 128-bit random numbers every time one of these things happens, which certainly makes them unpredictable. Means that there is absolutely no semantic information in this ID at all. Maybe that's good, maybe that's bad. Would love to get opinions on that. And I think that's currently what's implemented in Chrome if you turn this on experimentally. But later, I think Noam's idea was to let's stick with the string, but let's put a little bit of semantic stuff in here so that you can actually look at this and as a developer get a feeling to what's actually going on. So using something like the type of the performance entry and the start time of the performance entry, and this should be unique across the entirety of the page lifetime, is a nice little string that you can use to distinguish these things or sort by them or filter by them, and gives you an idea, like I said, as a developer, sort of what's going on. That is currently what's in the spec PR, and under review, Yoav brings up that a different proposal was looking at crafting identifiers of this type, and we got some feedback that instead of just concatenating things like this, what if we were to just construct an object that contains the same information and use that instead, and not put the burden on the coder if they want to make use of the semantic information to try to break that down themselves. So that's the first thing. I would like, if people have opinions on which of these is any better than any other, to discuss that. And then the second thing, Dan, I think we're just going to finish this, and then I will get to questions. Is, do we need to have an API to filter by these? So something like a get entries by navigation ID, passing in an ID, and getting all of the entries relevant to that navigation. Do we do nothing and tell users that, hey, you know what, you've got JavaScript, just get entries and filter them any way you want? Or should we start looking at this point at adding a generic mechanism to filter all performance entries based on some number of options, right? Just let's have an expandable dict. You can put in types, names, start times, navigation IDs, whatever you want into that dict, and we'll return all the relevant entries and hopefully make something a bit more future-proof. And with that, we can probably stop recording and switch discussion.